Just past 9:30. Boy, who would have thought it caught on as well as it did, being only 140 characters at a time. Twitter is everywhere, from your friends, your businesses, your favorite television shows. And it turns out, while it may be a distraction for some of us, it's actually improving television ratings. Well, for shows that air live, and not for some of us, but a new Nielsen study shows Twitter activity is boosting ratings and giving the viewer an enhanced experience. That would explain why some of it happens, but here to explain more is the social media expert and president of Erico Communications, Eric Yaverbaum. Thank you for taking the time.
Thanks so much. It's great to be here.
Okay, yeah, I think this is something that might surprise people at first, but once it's explained, it's
Well, I'll tell you this. The Nielsen study, which I take with a grain of salt, I just recently read some they're public documents about a federal case. It's a Connecticut case of Nielsen versus Success Systems, Inc. It makes me doubt a little bit the credibility of the data. That said, what I do know for sure is there's a direct relationship, which is what the Nielsen study said, direct relationship between number of tweets and television ratings. There's shows that are actually made. They're made. The ratings are movies that get watched because of Twitter activity.
And that's not a correlation. They found the causation necessary?
Well, what their study did, again, I think it's somewhat flawed, but what their study did is it showed the relationship between how many tweets there were and what the ratings were, and there was a direct relationship. There's movies that have been able to finance and go into production because of Twitter that increased the amount of interest in that show or in that movie. There is a direct relationship, and all the networks now, they're really embracing how social media sort of integrates with programming.
Okay. Now, to clarify again, this is for live television as opposed to just pre-recorded shows.
Right.
Why live television?
Well, more for live television because it's possible right now, the conversation that you and I are having, people could actually, anybody who follows you or I on Twitter can actually engage live in this conversation. Mm-hmm. They can get other people to watch because they're big. You know, I mean, I have no vested interest in Twitter one way or the other. Honestly, I never thought it would work. I do participate because I do it for a living. It's a surprise to me, but it does work. So anybody who's vested in Twitter will know instantaneously through social media about this conversation right now, and they can engage in it if they want to.
And what you're telling me is basically you don't ever have to watch TV alone anymore. Well, and you know, it seems natural.
Yeah. That's what's happening in everybody's living room. The phenomenon of the second screen. There's studies on this. Harvard's done a case study on it. The second screen phenomenon means that nobody watches one screen anymore. You sit in your room with your family, you watch television, the kids are text messaging, somebody's doing homework on their laptop, somebody else is, searching the web to see something about a character. Television is intentionally trying to integrate itself with that second screen. Mm-hmm. Advertisers are trying to own it. It's a big deal right now.
It seems natural. It almost sounds terrible the way you say it, like we have perpetual attention deficit disorder. But the whole phenomenon of live tweeting, it works a number of different ways. We saw it during the Boston bombing where people were trying to pass information that way, but during Miley Cyrus dancing, during Super Bowl outages, it turns into a comedy show.
The thing is about, just take Twitter as an example and the way that the news flows, and think about the day Captain Sully landed that plane on the Hudson. The very first pictures that you saw, that phenomenal shot of all the people, they all lived standing on the wing. It was from Twitter. 7 minutes before a network television had that shot, Twitter did. So the news flows from Twitter first. Okay. It feeds news.
Real quick here, how about with TiVo, DVR, and Netflix? How is that going to change the game?
Well, that's another flaw in the Nielsen study is that it didn't take into account, because the world is trending towards commercial-free television. Mm-hmm. We're all going to DVR. We're not going to watch commercials anymore. Advertisers are going to have to figure out a different way than the traditional way. If that, in fact, is true, then the Nielsen study doesn't account for any of that. That's a whole different group of people, and it's probably the future of entertainment and television in our living rooms.
Well, my guess, it's product placement. I should just go ahead and get Fox Connecticut.
There you go. Right. Hey, and you said it on TV, so you own it. You said it first.
There we go. Pay me money now. All right, Eric Yaverbaum, thank you so much
for your time. Thanks so much for having me.
Thanks for the insight. We appreciate it. Okay, coming up next on Morning